GME, GameStop. I've had a few requests for GameStop. Let's check in on this guy and see what is going on with just this chart and related memes and how the market might be affecting this guy. This is probably my favorite technical flag on the entire market right now. This is the only thing on earth doing a bull flag at the moment. Oh wait, no, Sins is still doing a bull flag, right? Let's check. Yeah, Sins is still doing a bull flag, and so yeah, check out the bull flag idea. Like, this is a pretty hot like bull flag formation, but Sins and GME are doing this sort of thing where you get the pullback, kind of a sharp pullback into the support of a bull channel here. So you can see the bull channel here, bull channel, right? And then you run hot, and then you pull back into the bull channel for support. So on Sins and GME, it's super important that the support holds here, and then because breaking down, doing any kind of technical breakdown under here is gonna be blowing this bull support and blowing the bullish trend line altogether. So this is a super critical area to catch support on both of these charts. But in any case, Sins has already tagged support once. It's coming down again, and you can see the sort of breakout triangle area coming here. That's over, it runs till like the end of February if you really stretch it out, but I doubt it would go out that far. But looking for a breakout move and looking to pick up the bull support trend line and take off. And I painted, let me show this bull flag, and I'll show the AMC bull flag, and then I'll come back to GME. But I've shown like a ridiculous potential upside target on this Sins chart because we just have a really good consolidation here on this line. And if you just throw a target up here, it's like, well, it's like 30 or 40 somewhere, like a huge, ridiculous potential move to the upside. But we're not quite there yet. What we want to do is make sure that we hold support here now. That's important. Then start worrying about breaking out, then the bull line. But let me get back to the GME chart, because let me do AMC. So the current flag on AMC is not a bull flag whatsoever. This thing is a rollover, a bear flag, B wave, bear flag. So it's an ABC wave, right? Bear flag, bear flag, bear flag. Like, nothing about this situation is a bull flag, but this thing is a bull flag, and it looks just like the Sins and the GME flag, or pretty close to it, where you get the pop, and you come back to the bull channel support, right? Then you go a little hot, come back to support. And so on AMC, you can see the bullish trend line's a little bit lower, and we barely pulled under support here. So anyway, check out the AMC flag. We crossed the channel, wobbled around the bull trend line, and then we took off, right? So that's a technical bull flag setup there, and that's the kind of green candlestick. That's not investment advice, but that's what you want for call options, is a monstrous vertical green candle that could last, depending on what you're trading. It could be a day trade or a week trade or a month trade, but you figure out the target and make sure you have enough time on the call option so that you can sell it back when it gets up there. All right, so back to GME. Let's look at the same kind of setup here, and then the general market outlook as it relates to this guy, because there's a bunch of sort of meme stocks, especially in like the EV and sort of lithium alternative energy space, that are starting to look scary. But this guy looks pretty good. So in any case, we did have a cool bull channel here. Like, we had support here before we started coming up, and you can see we gapped out, we came back to support, right? So this needs to hold anyway. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And then let me check out an upside. There's not really any kind of obvious upside target on this chart relating to the channels. It's just the bullish line that we're on here. So we're pulling through the bullish trend line right now, and we're pulling right into support. Like pretty much today, tomorrow, it looks like we're getting pretty close. So yeah, so if we go back to AMC, you can look like what it did when it came into support. Like AMC came kind of close to the bull channel, but it was still above the bull trend line, and it just tapped it once and then crossed up, right? If you see the SENS chart, which is, I lost it, I don't know where it is. Yeah, the SENS chart, we've already tapped it once, and we're kind of pulling down again. And yeah, I mean, that's okay. It can tap more than once on the bull channel, but the bull channel has to hold, and you got to get out of the consolidation. You got to get on top of the bullish trend and then take off, right? So the general idea here, and where now I lost GME. Okay, I have too many ticker symbols in here, but in any case, we're coming down into support, and this support is right now at 130. And so this whole 130 to 140 range over the next week or two, like this has to hold. And we did gap. We gapped up to this level. So like if this broke, like gapping down would be not good. Not good at all. If we start stabbing through, that's okay as long as we jump back on top. But if we start stabbing through and bear flagging underneath or doing any kind of technical stuff underneath, that's not going to be a good thing. So that's kind of the idea on the GME. I don't really have an upside target, but the general trade would be if it's going to behave similar to the AMC bull flag, it would just tap once and then cross the channel. We have more channels here than we did on the other one. But we got to get out of here, and we got to pick up the bull line. So it could be pretty wobbly, like going back and forth, checking these areas. But once you get the bull line, you can really pop. And this could go 1,000 plus if it really does it. I don't really know what the upside target would be. But, I mean, these channels are logarithmic, so you can see, I mean, that's like 1,000... 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, like as you go up these channels, the numbers get ridiculous in a hurry without a huge move, you know, on the logarithmic chart. But anyway, that's the look at GME. That's where it needs to hold, and it's happening right now. So if you go back and look at my previous GME video, it was right around this double topping area somewhere. I can't remember exactly where I made it, but it was just like a 1 minute short. You can go watch that. And I said, right here is our support. This has been sitting here this whole time, and I came right down to it. So this is normal and good technical setup for a bull flag. But let's look at the normal market and see how GME fits into the moves that are all setting up right now. So we're sitting at the top of the channel here, you know, on the S&P, which this is a somewhat dangerous spot to be sitting, and we're not building up like a melt up kind of looking thing on the S&P. We're just kind of at a top resistance area, which, you know, it doesn't have to be anything dramatic, and the momentum is just kind of whatever. So no big deal, I guess. Like not much going on in the S&P. The NASDAQ is doing something similar. It's just kind of holding, and the channels aren't loading. But that doesn't matter. Like the NASDAQ is not crashing, like the FANG stocks are not crashing. So you can see the general market is hanging on. The big, you know, the big cap stocks they're hanging on right now. But what we have is IWM not just kind of breaking down, but completely blowing the bull channel, picking up a really aggressive downward trend line, and now just breaking the whole support structure that it's had for the last year and a half or something. So like big down moves on the IWM mean margin calls are possible. And so this is really interesting. For one, these are like cash flow negative companies that are going to be at big risk right now. If margin calls start coming in, if money starts coming out of the market, it's all those companies that have basically bad business models or like no viable products still at this point. Tons of investor money has gone in, tons of margin loans. But when that money starts coming back out, those are the companies that get in big trouble. And GME is actually not one of those companies. GME has pretty decent cash flow, and it's stable just from a company perspective. Now, like from the short squeeze like whole theory, GME is not getting listed as like one of the top shorted stocks at this point. But there's the whole idea that the short shares are not really even showing up. Like you can't just go look up the shorts on GME because it's all happening behind the scenes, and you have someone shorting and then loaning it to someone else that shorts the same share and loaning it to someone else that shorts the same share. And so that's why people have been like calling their shares in, and it's taking like weeks or months to get the share like called back in where they don't loan it out, which means potentially there could be way more shares short, even like illegally non-existent numbers of shares short on GME. So that's just kind of like a guess as to, if you think that's happening, then that could contribute to a short squeeze. But just in general, there's a lot of stocks that look like they're at pretty big risk with this kind of down move on the IWM, like margin call threat kind of thing. But GameStop is not that threatened. And then, of course, like the FANG stocks have huge cash flow piles. Like those ones are not really threatened by a liquidity squeeze. Although if everything comes down, like they should probably come down with it, right? So, I mean, I think there's a little bit of threat to GME from this kind of thing, but it's not like one of the stocks that's like at risk of like leading the market down or like absolutely crashing because of this. But absolutely something to pay attention to. Like it's no joke if you get a liquidity margin squeeze and you start getting margin calls, and then like a bunch of stuff can unwind. You can get pretty big down moves in some things. Yeah, so that chart's not probably helping. Treasuries are just deciding whether to go weak or strong on interest rates. I don't think this relates too hugely to the GME chart. The dollar strong, it's kind of strong. It's probably not, well, whatever. I guess the big point is actually that margin calls, if you're in on the short squeeze theory, would be making GME go to the upside while a lot of other stuff goes to the downside. Because it would be the short sellers that are getting margin called, and they have to close their shorts, and that keeps pushing it up higher. So like margin calls may be a catalyst for GME to go to the upside, especially if there are a ton of like hidden shares short that nobody can see. Like they still are going to have to get unwound in that type of a situation. Yeah, so like you can't really look at that data. You can't, like, it's hard to speculate on what would happen in that case, but the sort of theory that it could short squeeze probably a margin call situation would be good for GME in that short squeeze scenario. So that's one thing. You have like things like Bitcoin, which are threatening to make a down move now. And so, yeah, I can't figure out if I think that's bad for the market or good. Like if money came out of BTC, would it go into other things? Like the rotation, I think there's some rotations happening right now, but it's like, is everything going to come down a little bit together and some things will lead, or like, are we going to have some things going up and some things going down? Like it's kind of hard to figure out the general trend that's happening right now, but it looks like a bunch of small, like unstable companies with bad cash flow could get in trouble, and like the big cash flow companies will probably be fine right now, and a bunch of other stuff in between could get crazy. But I just did a big Bitcoin video if you want to look at that. But like if BTC did make like a big down move, I don't think that would directly threaten like GameStop. And then we have other meme stocks like Tesla and GameStop haven't really traded in any kind of related way. Tesla's just kind of in a triangle right now. Not that interesting, but I just went over a ton of these other EV stocks, and a lot of them have really scary looking setups where they're breaking through their bottom last line of support and like threatening to move down. You got the IWM like turning over. Like there's not, the whole market doesn't look bad because the S&P is just hanging out, like the Nasdaq's kind of just hanging out, but there's that whole sector and like the IWMs, small caps, there's a bunch of stuff that's threatening a down move right now. So we'll have to see if that happens, but just on the technicals here, without getting into too much like guessing, these are the targets. So I guess, I wasn't gonna put this thing down, but I am interested in calling it here, but it's just like, the market's like kind of scary. Like, is that a good idea or not? Like, is this thing actually gonna do it? Like, you'd hate to miss like the famous short squeeze, because if it does it, it's gonna be epic. It's gonna make freaking history. But if it just like gaps down here and goes, then that sucks. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not convinced that this will happen, but if it does, I pretty much have a good idea what it will look like. So yeah, in any case, here support right now 128, and this could be over the next couple of weeks. It's trying to pick up support. It could poke through a little bit and then jump on top, but we need to hold support now, and we need to get across and out of here, and then we can get into squeeze territory. And like, these are just kind of random lines I scribbled, but you can see this is like January, maybe February. Like, this could take months, 3, 4, 5 months to kind of really set up and take off. So the idea, I guess, for call options would be right now in this area, it would be more like leap kind of call options. That would be at least like a 6-month time duration. And I usually would strike like under a bull channel. Like this bull bubble line is what you're aiming for. But like this bullish support line is probably what I would try to strike under. So if it was like a July option, I would probably strike at whatever, 260 or something. That's pretty conservative, out of the money call. If you want to go out of the money. But like going up here like really diminishes your returns. Like, it really has to launch. If you struck way up there, it's kind of ridiculous. But if you wanted to strike higher, you can just do the same move with more time. And like, this would be, let's see, if we did like January, you could strike at like 600, and that's under this bull channel. That sort of thing. Like, that's how I usually look at call options. But the way I would probably set this up, and I'll have to think about this because it's happening now. So the general idea, I think, would be to get longer dated calls now at this support, and then if it does a good technical setup where it looks like it makes sense, like if it's up here doing this kind of stuff and we are picking up this bull trend line, like that'll be pretty obvious, and that would be the time to get into like a shorter term one, not like a weekly one, unless you're like, that's really hard to time. But over here you could do 2-month kind of duration calls, and like you could go like a little bit more out of the money and do a riskier play and like catch that candle like right when it's blowing up, that sort of thing. So like longer duration, shorter duration calls, and then like really low risk kind of strike here, and you could something like that. Not investment advice, but that's just kind of the way that I would look at calls on a crazy, short squeeze, insane event. And of course, this is potentially low percentage chance. I don't know how to evaluate like what kind of percentage chance it would be to actually happen. But it's not like an investment. This is a really aggressive swing trade and you're calling for like a massive explosion to the upside, which is an extremely hard call to do at all, and especially hard to time it. But that's why we've got all this chart set up here, so that we can do exactly that and figure out the timing like right on. And so yeah, right now, today, tomorrow, next day, like we're coming into the support level. This has to hold, and if it does hold, this is a good spot to enter those longer term calls. And yeah, GME, this thing could really happen. And actually, yeah, the liquidation margin squeeze thing, if we get a little pullback and we get a little margin call thing, like that really could like be a catalyst to blow GME up to the upside, while some other things are crashing because of it. So that's pretty cool, and that's what everyone's been saying the whole time. But I was on Wall Street Bets, and like nobody's even talking about GME anymore, blah blah blah, which is pretty much what you want to see. Like when you're pulling into a legit support level, nobody's happy about what the stock's doing. People should be like forgetting about it or talking about it going down. And the only real post I saw was someone posting puts on Wall Street Bets. So yeah, the sentiment is correct for this thing to hold. People are like, blah, GME, blah, and then it holds support, and then it explodes when nobody's looking at it or trying to trade it. Right on. So that's cool. There's some related ones, like COS is another meme stock that's kind of moved along with GME. But this doesn't have any kind of special technicals. Like this is just bear flag, bear flag, bear flag. It's just consolidating down. This isn't exciting looking. And I already showed like AMC is doing something similar, just bear flagging down and actually falling off even farther than I thought. Yeah, so that's the idea. Like GME to the long, as we come into support here, is a dangerous and pretty cool play. And the other trades I have on right now, I don't have a whole lot on, but I shorted Mara when it curled up under here. And this has everything to do with the Bitcoin court case and everything. Like the margin loans, the meme stock kind of stuff going on, the Bitcoin stuff. Like there's a lot of downside risk that Mara has, all of them combined. So I'm already, I don't remember what I think I struck at like 40. I think I already am in the money on this thing, and it has hardly even started. So that's a good setup, but it's a hard place to try to enter something like that right now. But yeah, and Bitcoin is really really wild to try to short Bitcoin, because it's capable of just ripping to the upside in your face if you're trying to swing trade and short it. But yeah, if you can time the top of the bubble and catch the big down move, then, and that's potentially happening like in the next week or next couple of days, it could do that. So yeah, there's a bunch of crazy stuff going on. I guess I can flip through some of these smaller ones again. I just flipped through them a minute ago. But what we have is a bunch of stocks that were coming down into support. And it's like, oh, cool. If we get another big run up in margin loans and these things are at support, like they'll probably pick up and do another meme stock looking squeeze thing. But what we got was the IWM and the margin loan outlook just like completely ripped to the downside instead. And these things are all falling off their support levels. It's like Workhorse, Nikola, breaking down. And then some of them are still not quite broken through support areas, but they're deciding what to do. So there's some bullish kind of looking structures still in some of these. Canoe looks okay. Rivian, someone was asking me to do Rivian. I mean, from a technical perspective, this is not a lot to go off of because it just came out. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like Rivian is being valued like almost more valuable than Tesla for what they're producing, which is pretty nutty. And Ford is like dropping them, and they're having issues, and I don't know. This looks super risky, and this is the type of company that would be at risk probably also for like a margin pullback. So I'm not a huge fan of that stock, but there's not really good trading technicals to go off of on that one. Some of the other ones have a little bit of technical stuff. I think Workhorse and Nikola are some of the easier ones to find a trade on. And this guy just hanging on. I thought this would fall out already. I have puts on this that I'm losing on, or kind of neutral or whatever. Yeah, but you can just see that like this whole space, this whole lithium EV space has a bunch of stocks that did like a fake pickup and now didn't hold support, and now they're getting into dangerous territory. So like we've really got to have like a pretty decent pickup in margin loan activity and all these stocks reacting to it for me to sort of flip bullish on those. Right now they're looking pretty weak. But yeah, we have GME and SENS with bull flags. Those are cool. Very cool ones to watch. No to the AMC. I don't think AMC and GME would quite move together. I don't think they're connected like that. Like those two things didn't really trade together the first time. It was just like a little pop when GME was going up. Yeah, the Bitcoin miners have a bunch of risk from everything that's going on. I could do individual videos on some of these. There's some miners I haven't looked at. And then, I don't want to get into like the whole commodity thing on this video. This is just more has to do with, Tilray is kind of another meme stock thing to sort of look at. And it's doing the same thing. It did like a little false breakout, and now it's breaking down through all these support levels and getting pretty scary looking. Sundial, less technical chart setup, but it hasn't broken down yet. But it generally will follow Tilray around. So yeah, even like this sector, like I can't say the word on YouTube. They've like partially demonetized my video for talking about it. But yeah, okay. I think that's cool. Look, I'll flip through some more of these kind of meme short interest stocks. But I think like the short interest list of stocks, if we really do start getting margin calls, I think the short sellers are going to start winning all those bets and not having them rip in their face on a bunch of these. Mind medicine, just like bearish and even falling. Things that already had a bearish structure are like falling even farther off their bearish structure. So yeah, things are looking weak, but not like the whole market. Just like these high risk kind of it's not all tech, like sort of, I guess they're sort of techie stocks, but just sort of the risky stocks are looking risky. So yeah, this guy's crazy. Oh, I went all the way back down there again. Oh, okay, interesting. So this is just kind of bear flagging it. It's in a little channel. But this did it too. It picked up support, did a false breakout, blah blah blah. So I mean, you see that across like 20 charts, and then the 3 that don't look so bad, it's like can't really trust them, right? And so that's kind of the idea, I guess, with GME. It's like it's coming into like this support area where it could do this amazing thing, and it's not really in the same category of the stocks that are getting in trouble, but it's tricky, dangerous trade to enter. So anyway, not investment advice, but that's the outlook on GME. I want to do like a longer one because we're getting into that spot. But yeah, my little short video that I did is pretty good. I mean, I did a video like 3 weeks or a month ago, and it's doing pretty much exactly what I said so far. But yeah, we'll see if we get the MOASS major mother of all short squeezes, because that would be pretty it would make the history books, and it would suck to have it happen and not be part of that trade. So yeah, enjoy and happy trading.